Hey guys, welcome back, I'm Jay. In this episode, we're gonna look at AWS Global Accelerator. Global Accelerator is a networking service that sends your users traffic through AWS Global Network. It can improve your internet user performance by up to 60%. Global Accelerator provides two static IP addresses as a fixed entry point to your application endpoints, such as your load balancers or EC2 instances. Global Accelerator optimizes the network path by taking advantage of the congestion-free AWS Global Network. Regardless of where your users are located, Global Accelerator intelligently routes traffic to the endpoint that provides the best application performance. Global Accelerator continuously monitors the health of your application endpoints and instantly reacts to changes of their health status. It routes user traffic to healthy endpoints that deliver the best performance and availability to your users. Global Accelerator simplifies the global traffic management. For instance, you can move endpoints between availability zones or AWS regions without needing to update your DNS settings. You can use static IP addresses from the Amazon IP address pool, or you can bring your own IP addresses to Global Accelerator. Suppose you have an application that serves your users globally. There are many different networks between your users and the application endpoints. Without Global Accelerator, user requests need to travel through different networks before reaching the application. Routes between the application and users may be different each time, and the network performance is inconsistent. Each hop can impact the performance and can introduce risks. Global Accelerator removes network inefficiencies by leveraging the AWS Global Network. Global Accelerator directs user traffic to the nearest application endpoint to the client, reducing internet jitter and latency. It routes the traffic to the closest edge location via Anycast, then routes the traffic to the closest regional endpoint over the AWS Global Network. Global Accelerator quickly reacts to changes in the network to improve your user's application performance. Here is how Global Accelerator works. After you enable Global Accelerator for your application endpoints, traffic from your user's client application is sent directly to Global Accelerator. Traffic enters the AWS Global Network at the closest edge location. Global Accelerator provides you with a set of static IP addresses that are anycast from the AWS Edge network. The static IP addresses accept incoming traffic onto the AWS Global Network from the edge location. From the edge location, traffic is routed to the optimal AWS endpoint based on the user's location, the endpoint health, and the endpoint weights that you configure. Traffic travels over the congestion-free and redundant AWS Global Network to the endpoint. Your user's traffic traverses AWS Global Network to the optimal endpoint group in an AWS region. Each endpoint group can have multiple application endpoints, such as load balancers, EC2 instances, or elastic IP addresses. Global Accelerator ensures that traffic is routed to the appropriate endpoint, based on the performance and policies that you can configure. Global Accelerator continuously monitors the health of all endpoints. If your application endpoint has a failure or availability issue, Global Accelerator will automatically redirect your new connections to a healthy endpoint within seconds. Global Accelerator includes the following components that work together to help you improve the application availability and performance. Global Accelerator provides you with two static IP addresses that are anycast from the AWS Edge network. You can also bring your own IP address range to AWS and assign them to your accelerator. The IP addresses serve as a single fixed entry point for your clients. If you already have elastic load balancing, EC2 instances, or elastic IP addresses set up for your applications, you can easily add them to Global Accelerator. Global Accelerator provides you with an accelerator that directs traffic to optimal endpoints over the AWS Global Network to improve the availability and performance of your internet applications. Each accelerator can have one or more listeners. Global Accelerator assigns each accelerator a default DNS name that points to two static IP addresses. The DNS name is composed of a random string and awsglobalaccelerator.com. Depending on the use case, you can use the DNS name or static IP addresses, or set up DNS records to route traffic using your own custom domain name. Network Zone provides physical isolation and high availability for the accelerator. It services the static IP addresses for your accelerator from a unique IP subnet. Similar to an availability zone, a network zone is an isolated unit with its own set of physical infrastructure. When you configure an accelerator, Global Accelerator allocates two IPv4 addresses. If one IP address from a network zone becomes unavailable due to IP address blocking by certain client networks, or network disruptions, then client applications can retry on the healthy IP address from another network zone. A listener processes inbound connections from clients to Global Accelerator, based on the port range and protocol that you configure. Global Accelerator supports both TCP and UDP protocols. Each listener can have multiple endpoint groups associated with it, and traffic is forwarded to endpoints in one of the groups. You associate endpoint groups with listeners by specifying the regions that you want to distribute traffic to. Traffic is distributed to optimal endpoints within the endpoint groups associated with a listener. An endpoint group is associated with a specific AWS region. Each endpoint group can have multiple endpoints in the region. You can increase or reduce the percentage of traffic directed to an endpoint group by adjusting and setting the traffic dial. The traffic dial enables you to easily shift traffic from one group to another, which is commonly needed for blue-green deployment testing. An endpoint might be a network load balancer, an application load balancer, an EC2 instance, or an elastic IP address. An application load balancer endpoint can be internet-facing or internal. A network load balancer endpoint must be internet-facing. Traffic is routed to endpoints based on configuration options that you choose, such as endpoint weights. You can use endpoint weights to specify the proportion of traffic to route to each endpoint. The static IP addresses provided by Global Accelerator are anycast, as they're announced from multiple AWS edge locations at the same time. This enables traffic to ingress onto the AWS global network as close to your users as possible. You can associate these addresses to regional endpoints. The static IP addresses can serve as the front-end interface of your applications. By using these IP addresses, you don't need to make any client-facing changes or update DNS records when you modify the endpoints. Global Accelerator has a fault-isolating design that increases the availability of your applications. When you create an accelerator, Global Accelerator allocates two static IP addresses by independent network zones. If one IP address from a network zone becomes unavailable, your client applications can retry using the healthy static IP address from another network zone. Global Accelerator routes the traffic based on the best performance of the network, and quickly reacts to changes in the network to improve your user's application performance. Normally, TCP connection is established using a three-way handshake between the client on the internet and the application endpoint. Global Accelerator enables TCP termination at the edge, which reduces the initial setup time by establishing a TCP connection between the client and the edge location. Almost concurrently, a second TCP connection is made between the edge location and the application endpoint. The client gets a faster response from the edge location, and the upstream connection from the edge location to the application endpoint, over the AWS global network. Global Accelerator allows you to bring your own IP addresses, and use them as a fixed entry point to your application endpoints. You can bring up to two IP address ranges, so that you can choose one IP address from different ranges. If you only bring one IP address range, Global Accelerator will assign a second IP address from the AWS IP address pool. Global Accelerator provides fine-grained traffic control using traffic dials. For each endpoint group, you can set a traffic dial to control the percentage of traffic that is directed to an AWS region. The traffic dial lets you easily run performance testing, or blue-green deployment for new releases across different AWS regions. By default, traffic dials are set to 100% across all endpoint groups, so that Global Accelerator can select the best endpoint for your applications. Global Accelerator continuously monitors the health of your application endpoints by using health checks. It instantly reacts to changes in the health or configuration of your endpoints, and redirects user traffic to healthy endpoints that deliver the best performance and availability to your users. Global Accelerator enables you to build applications that require maintaining client affinity. For stateful applications where you need to consistently route users to the same endpoint, you can choose to direct all requests from a user to the same endpoint. By default, Global Accelerator is protected by AWS Shield standard from DDoS attacks, by using always-on network flow monitoring and automated inline mitigation. You can also enable AWS Shield Advanced, for automated resource-specific enhanced detection and mitigation. AWS Global Accelerator and Amazon CloudFront are separate services that leverage the AWS global network and edge locations around the world. Global Accelerator improves performance for a wide range of applications over TCP or UDP, by proxying packets at the edge to applications running in AWS regions. Global Accelerator is a good fit for non-HTTP applications, such as gaming applications using UDP, IoT devices using MQTT protocol, voice over IP applications, as well as for HTTP applications that specifically require static IP addresses. CloudFront improves performance of content delivery for both cacheable content, such as images and videos, and dynamic content such as APIs and websites. Both Global Accelerator and CloudFront are integrated with AWS Shield for DDoS protection. In this episode, we've learned AWS Global Accelerator. Global Accelerator is a networking service that sends your users traffic through AWS Global Network, improving the availability and performance of your applications. It provides two static IP addresses as a fixed entry point for your application endpoints, such as application load balancers, network load balancers, EC2 instances, or elastic IP addresses. Okay, that's all for AWS Global Accelerator. Thanks for watching and see you in the next episode.
Hope you've enjoyed watching this episode. If you liked the video, please help us and hit the like button. If you want to watch more tutorials, please subscribe to the Cloudemy TV channel. Make sure to turn on the notification and stay tuned. At Cloudemy, we're passionate about cloud and AI technology. Please share your feedback and thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to watch. Happy watching and happy learning.